Have you ever wished you could talk to yourself in the future? What you'd want to tell yourself, what you'd want to remind yourself of. Now imagine you've recovered from depression. What would you tell your future self to make sure that you didn't experience depression again? In today's video, we're going to be talking about how you can actually do this by writing a letter to your future self. If you've ever struggled with depression, you know how hard it can be to see the light at the end of the tunnel when you're in the middle of it. But what if you could talk to your future self? Remind yourself how far you've come, what helped you heal, and how to keep moving forward. As you can imagine, that would be pretty powerful to help prevent future depression. So imagine that you're climbing a mountain. It's steep, it's exhausting, and at times you can't even see where the peak is. But once you've reached the top, you're amazed at the view. It's breathtaking. You feel strong, you feel accomplished, you feel sort of hopeful and proud. Now, imagine that you could leave a map for yourself, a guide to help you navigate that climb again if you ever had to do it, taking into account everything you learned about the first time you got to the top of that mountain. That's what writing a letter to your future self is like. It's like a map, a lifeline, a reminder of how you got to where you want to be. So when you're in a good place, when you've climbed out of the depths of depression, that's the time to write this letter. And it's not just any letter, it's a message to the version of you who might need it the most. It's a way to say, hey, look, I've been there. I know how it feels, and here's how I found my way out. So, what do you do in this letter? What do you write in it? Well, first of all, you want to start by reflecting on your lowest points. Describe to yourself how you felt, the thoughts that bothered you, and the weight of all of it. The point isn't to dwell on the pain, but to acknowledge it and to recognize it and to remind yourself of it. But then what you want to do in this letter is to shift to the steps that you took to heal. Did therapy help? Did medication help? Did journaling or exercise or leaning on loved ones, did those things help? Write it all down. Write down all of the things that helped. What were the things that helped? What were the things that didn't help? Be specific. If a certain medication worked for you, write it down. If a daily walk was helpful for you, write it down. If talking to friends regularly helped, write it down. You want to include as much detail as possible to remind yourself specifically what you needed to do to get better. But another important part of this letter is to be kind to yourself. Be the supportive person, the supportive friend you wished you had during your darkest days. Remind yourself that healing is possible because you've done it before. And if you're setting goals for the future, whether it's pursuing a hobby or improving relationships or taking better care of yourself, write down those expectations as well. This letter isn't just about survival. It isn't just about getting out of depression. It's about growth and ensuring that you're maintaining a progression forward in terms of your growth. Take time with this letter. Think about everything you wished you'd been able to tell yourself when you were in the midst of your last depression. So you have this letter. You've written down all of the information that you want to tell your future self. How do you make sure that you actually get this letter to your future self? Well, you want to think of it kind of like a time capsule. And so the idea is you want to get this message sent to yourself 6, 8, 10 months from now. So one thing I often encourage people to do is if you have a really organized friend, you write the letter, you seal it in an envelope, you address it to yourself, and you put a stamp on it. And you give this letter to that really organized friend, and you ask them in 6 to 10 months from now, just drop this letter off in a mailbox and don't tell me when you've done it. Um, if you're writing the letter in the spring, Maybe put it inside the pocket of a winter jacket that you always wear, or in the box of Christmas decorations that you have. The idea is to place it somewhere where you'll naturally find it when the time is right, 6 to 10 months from now. Another thing you could do is to schedule it in an email to yourself 6 to 8 months from now. Now, most email services have this as an option to schedule when an email can be sent. So write it as an email, schedule the email, and try not to make note of when the email is scheduled to be sent. So there's lots of different ways you can actually get this letter to yourself 6 to 10 months from now. And so what ends up happening is that people typically forget about doing this because life gets busy, things happen, and you just move on and forget about it. And then one day you get a letter in the mail, and the writing on the front looks familiar, but you don't know what it's about until you open it. Or you randomly get an email to yourself out of the blue one morning, or you stick your hand into your coat pocket and you find it. And when you find that letter, you get to experience time travel, as it's your message to yourself in your own words, telling you what you wished you had been able to say to yourself when you were in depression. And that can be really, really powerful. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, what if I never need this letter? What if I stay well? Well, that's the best case scenario, and I hope that's the case for you. But even if you never need it, by getting this letter, it's a way to reflect on your progress, to recognize your resilience, and to remind yourself what your intentions were to the future. It's a gift from your present self to your future self, a reminder of how far you've come and where you're headed and where you want to be headed. And you can repeat this as many times as you want. After you get the letter, you can write another one to your future self, thinking of all the things that you want to remind yourself or encourage yourself to do 6 to 10 months from now. And I've had clients where this has just become a part of their life and they love doing it. Every 6 to 10 months, they get this letter and they experience it and they're able to tell themselves things to their future self that's just a gift, and they just keep repeating it, and you can do it as many times as you want. So this is what I encourage you to do. Take some time this week or whenever you're seeing this video to write a letter to your future self. Be honest, be kind, and be specific about what the things are that you hope you're doing. What would you say to your future self? What reminders or advice would you want to tell yourself? And then find a creative way to deliver it to yourself a few months from now. Remember, recovery from depression, it's never a straight line. It has its ups and it has its downs. But this letter to your future self can be a remarkably powerful tool to help you prevent future depressive episodes. And if you're interested in learning more about ways of managing depression and some of the tools that you can use to overcome depression, I'd encourage you to check out this video. So that's all for today's video. As always, thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video, and I will see you in the next one.